Hello, folks. Happy Thursday. It's Printavo University. We are back. We have people checking in from all over the country. I'd love to see it. We got Sweet Home Chicago. What's up, Adam and Lucky Prince? I see West Virginia, North Carolina, Oklahoma. Ooh, Toronto. Hello, Alexa up in Canada. We got Kansas City. All right. Well, we're going to be talking about social media marketing today. I'm super excited to do it. We got a great guest. He knows all about it. My name is Nick. I work at Printavo on the sales team. I'm one of the sales guys. And then my lovely co-host, I'm going to pass it over to him. Everybody welcome Matt Marcotte.
Hey, what's up, folks? Thanks for the intro, Nick. So, guys, a lot of times this is usually where I'm a little more of an expert in certain things. I'm going to be honest with you. This is probably an area that I know less than most people in this room. So I'm really excited to get to learn with you guys. I've been a big fan of what Luke's been able to do with Printavo and everything in general. So I'm going to be monitoring the chats, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to actually ask a lot of probably dumb questions as well. So do me a favor. Don't leave me hanging asking the dumb questions. Please feel free to come with your questions too, and let's utilize the time we have with Luke, a master at what he does, to really get the best we can out of this. So with no further ado, drum roll, please. I would like to introduce Luke.
Ta-da! Hey, everybody. I'm Luke Gardner. So I've been at Printavo since 2018. If you've read a Printavo blog article or watched a Printavo video or seen one of our posts on Instagram or seen one of our ads or seen anything that we do that has the Printavo name on it, I probably had my thumb in there at some point doing something with it. I'm kind of a generalist as far as content goes. I try to do everything from email marketing to social media marketing to just raw SEO type marketing stuff. My background is that I have an English degree. I was a dog groomer for 10 years, and now I work for Printavo, and it's an awesome job. I mean, truly a dream job. Get to talk with you guys all day and just learn and write and make things. So it's right up my alley, and I hope I get to share lots of cool info with you. If you have questions, please drop in the chat. I'm from Chicago too. What's up, Chicago? So let's get this thing going. And
my first question. I already have one question. What is harder, grooming a dog or making me sound or look good? Because you've done a lot of that with the blog. So I want to know which one's better to do.
Hand over my heart, it's the dogs, man. You're a genius, man. You're easy. It's easy. That's a little bit of polish and just push it out the door.
Perfect. All right, sorry, continue.
Yeah, to make a dog look good, that's difficult. But today we are talking, I think, Matt, you brought this up. Some people might be new to this topic. Some people might be experts, but let's start at the beginning real quick. Luke, what is content?
This is a great question, and it's kind of hard to answer. I think the number one thing that you should think of when you think of content is things that are nice to look at, things that are nice to read, and things that are nice to watch. So that could be, anything written, anything visual, anything that's, done with the intent to kind of push a message or an agenda forward. And that can come in so many different forms. And the internet is great because you have so many opportunities to create content. It's really kind of mind-blowing. Does that answer your question? I feel like that is a very big answer, but content is a very big thing. So
yeah, totally. How about some examples? What's some content that people are typically seeing and some of the opportunities you mentioned with the internet?
So right now, I think the biggest thing is video. We've seen a lot of growth and success purely through YouTube, which kind of brings up an interesting point about how we've grown, which is very organic. We have been very diligent and consistent with posting content, sort of like with the long-term goal in mind of building Printavo as a brand. We did not launch it thinking that we're going to get $1 investment out of this post that we made, right? That's not how we track things. So I think that's maybe the answer you're looking for there.
Yeah, YouTube, our blog. I know the newsletter. I know a lot of people are probably here because I got that in their inbox. But you actually brought up a really good point, Luke. So you mentioned that it's not necessarily dollar for dollar. I guess maybe what is the value of social media marketing? And then on the other hand, what is not the value of it? So what can we hope to gain and what should we not hope to gain?
Sure. You want to show me the it is slide? Yeah. So I really truly believe that like social media marketing is a long-term branding play for your business. It's the number one way to just get your name out there, to be seen, to beat people over the head with your message or whatever you want to show them. This is the way that you're going to actually add value to your customers too. People can use social media to educate. They can use it to market. They can use it to build community. And those three things, like interwoven together, are incredible. But there are some caveats here. You can only do so much with social media because of what people are there to do. So remember, this is not a one-to-one play for ROI. People are there for like short, snackable candy treats. They're there to just get their little dopamine hit and go about their day. So you're not going to be able to do heavy lifting on Instagram or Twitter or even Facebook. So just be aware of that. So there are things that it's really good for, which are entertainment and memes and keeping people engaged for 8 to 20 seconds. And there are things that it's really bad at, which is getting someone to do something or, trying to motivate someone to do something harder than maybe just click a button or go to an online store. So don't think that you're going to be able to accomplish something that takes any thought from the customer, especially if they're not there to think. They're there to relax and have a good time. So keep that in mind.
Yes.
I have a question too, real quick. Are we going to be able to share these slides to anybody who might want them after the webinar?
Yeah, we can drop a link for sure.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Now, there's one thing you said though, Luke, that I think is really interesting. That it's not a one-for-one ROI, and you mentioned earlier that we don't think of it as you put $1 in, you get $1 out. I think that might be unintuitive to some people because when you're buying a Facebook ad or you're buying an Instagram ad, it has you put your money in, and it's kind of presumed that you will get money out. So can you talk a little bit more about that? How should we expect to get a return on investment when we're doing social media and buying ads on social media?
This is a great question.
And what's the metric? What's the metric for that too? Like, how do you check that?
Sure. This is a great, sort of tension about social media marketing, which is that if you want to approach it like with a $to vision, you totally could. But what I think the real value of these platforms is something a little deeper, which is the ability to build and engage a community. People get really hung up on like their follower counts, not because of just their stacking followers. It's because that's the number of people they can reach who can then like amplify their message further out. So I think it's really important to come back to this like vision of building a brand through social media. But also, it's you can't lose sight of the fact that, yes, you can play the one-to-one ad game, but those are ads. Social media marketing is not necessarily just paid advertising. It's the broader umbrella of all of the posts you're doing that someone can go see when they look up your business. So it's like proof of life in a way. It's like, oh, look, they're posting, they're active, they're sharing stuff. They have this community, they're engaged, they're doing things. And that's the power of it. It's not just putting $1 in and getting $1 out. The truth is, if you put $10 in the Instagram and do it right, you can get a lot more than $10 back out. But when you're thinking about it long term, you have to have a vision for your company and your brand and your community.
So I don't want to jump ahead in the slides we have here, but Joe in the chat said, "Don't spend money. Talk directly to your customers." Is that also the end all truth? Is that the best way to do it, or is there a middle ground where you have to be aware of what you're spending the money on? But like you just said, you can still spend $10 on Instagram, and if you do it right, your ROI could be massively better than that. So is it a straight like, hey, don't waste your time? Is it a matter of first build the community before you start spending money on ads? What does that look like? And is Joe right where it's just not worth it?
I think this is a really challenging question because everyone's at different stages of their growth in terms of social media. If you're just starting out, talking directly to your customers, that's the jam. I mean, like that is so powerful. Just hitting people up in the DMs, leaving comments, liking their posts, sharing their stuff on your story. I mean, it's pretty simple and it seems almost formulaic, but it can be so genuine. And over time, they keep seeing like your like pop up. They keep seeing you comment. They keep seeing you like drop like nice. Like it works on us at Printavo. If you message us and talk to us, like I gravitate to you because you've made a point to reach out to me. So of course that works. I love everybody dropping their handles in the chat. That's great. You guys should all follow each other, check out what you post, see what works, see what doesn't work. like 90% of what I'm doing if I'm on Instagram, and I don't spend a lot of time on there, to be totally honest, is like trying to figure out what other people are doing and seeing how I could shoehorn some of that into what we're doing.
Yes, Luke, what you just said, I think it answers Rob's question. So, Rob, you might want to follow people in the custom apparel space so that you could get ideas about what they're doing. You could see how they're engaging their audience. And yeah, everybody who's dropping their handles, I think exactly right. Now, on the other hand, it's kind of a little, Luke calls it dark magic later in the slideshow, but it's, if you have more followers, your reach is going to be further. That's just how they play the game. So everybody following each other, yes, that's a great idea. You all should do that. You should all follow each other and follow back. It'll help a ton. Go ahead, Luke.
Totally, and I think like another point about Instagram specifically, if you want to jump to the next slide.
You know what? I think it's actually...
Or the fifth slide. Yeah, there we go. A point about Instagram specifically is like, they want you to use it a certain way, and they are grading you on about 500 different parameters like you're in a class. Now, this is really, really important to understand, that you're being graded on how you're using the app. So what they want you to do is use every feature that they have. So here's Instagram's highly unrealistic ideal. So they want you to post 3 times a week. They want you to do 8 to 10 stories a week, 4 to 7 reels per week, and 1 to 3 Instagram TV posts per week. I don't know about you, but that's a ton of content. That's like a crazy, crazy, crazy amount of content for particularly someone who's running a business to do, or someone who's printing to do. So I think like the best way is just bite off what you can, like do what you can. The consistency is really key. So if you could jump to the next slide for me. Yeah, this is kind of my like quick bullet point for like using Instagram. It's like, use Reels, use Instagram TV, use all the new features, but don't go crazy on it. Like, just try to dip your toes in and figure it out and start playing with it, and use them in the app, because what they really want you to do is use the app. So if you're going to make a post, sit there and scroll for 15 minutes, post, scroll 15 minutes afterwards, do some things in the app. Keep a list in the kind of your back of your head of like stuff that's worked in the past and repost that. Like for us, I know I could go post our little mini squeegee tomorrow and get, a lot of likes and engagement and people DMing us. And that's kind of cool just because it's like a fallback. But then I think really, if you want to link all this together and make it super powerful, just be really consistent about what you're doing. Like, just try to, if you have a strategy, you post at 7 a.m., like just keep posting at 7 a.m. 3 days a week, like keep that up, the consistency was really good, and they kind of grade you on a curve for that. So,
but that algorithm you're saying, so that 15 minutes before, so the algorithm actually gets better if it realizes that you're not just going to Instagram to post and leave. You're going to Instagram, engaging in the platform, posting, and then continuously engaging in the platform. So really, every time you want to make a post, you're saying it's going to take 30 minutes, ideally.
Instagram uses an extremely advanced type of machine learning to understand the intent behind what you're doing on their platform. So to answer your question, yes, you have to show them the intent that you're there to post and engage. Otherwise, they sort of treat it like you're using it like an ad, and they quash your engagement.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So in 2, it helps to fave or give a little heart to other print shops then, right? So if you see a shop in 2 states away and you give them a heart, that can actually help engagement on your own posts. 100%.
And it will start showing, the more you engage with people, the more the engagement you get. It is totally a sort of reciprocal system.
Now, speaking of people to engage with, here's some of our favorites. And this is just a small list. We got a whole bunch more. But Luke, what is it about some of these accounts? Is there any specific things they're doing, or even specific posts they have that stand out to you as useful or good or fun to engage with?
Sure. I think each of these I sort of pointed out for different reasons, and I think they each show a different mastery of their technique. We'll go from like Big Printing. Big Printing has 155,000 followers or so, and they totally like... they basically just film the cool stuff they're making and get tons of engagement and millions of likes and comments, and that's their strategy, is just posting cool stuff for their community. Another one that's like totally different is Shirt Kong, and he has really he dives into the community around screen printing, and they started Shirt Show. He really uses the the captions to like talk about owning a shop and what it's like, and that's really worked for them. That's their brand. We could look at like Printed Threads, who have this incredible like A+ marketing department and just do these just amazing top level, like top high quality videos and have all kinds of like wonderful photographs with their team. And then each other, I don't want to go through every single one, but the rest of them I've listed, each sort of have found their like niche for their brand on Instagram, which is like, that's what you want to do. Like you want to start at the very top of and just like work your way down and get that niche as small as you can. So each of these
can you help us understand like the best way to do that, how to develop a niche? Because I mean, it's one thing to say like, okay, I'm a screen printer, but like you just said, you've got a bunch there that were very much in their own niche. That's part of why they had success. And I'm sure they didn't have that success overnight. They had to kind of work their way into their niche. So is it more based off of like, you have to keep an eye on the responses you're getting to the posts and the ones that are engaging the most? You kind of like just develop your own niche based off of that?
Yeah, that's totally it. I mean, that's what I said about trying to keep the posts that are successful in the back of your mind, because that is your niche. One way or the other, the algorithm is telling you something and you need to listen to it. It may be dependent on a lot of other variables here, and that's kind of the frustrating thing about working in this context, is you don't know exactly how things are going to work or what made it work. But Nick, if you want to jump to the next slide for me, I think it's got a little bit more info. So like it's really about building out this niche around, I think, this core here, which is like really good pictures and captions. And that seems so stupid and obvious, but it is so true. Okay. Like quality is so much better than quantity, and it goes a long way. But don't do the thing everybody does and just post a picture of your Pantone wheel over and over, please. That's not interesting. I don't know, I had to call that one out. I've done it. I'm guilty of it. It's a cool visual thing, but like every print shop's done that post. I think like the point here is you can really get into consumer education. That's like one avenue you could go. So maybe, you're having a problem getting people quotes. You can just keep reposting this thing of like, here's how you get a quote. If you haven't nailed down your niche, I think Instagram might be a way to do it. You're trying to find things for your people, who resonates with the people that bothered to follow you and come seek you out. Another big thing just off the slide is being repetitive. Again, if it works, it works, and don't try to reinvent the wheel every time. But one of the more interesting insights, like from Big Printing when we interviewed him, was that his most successful post was a thrown off thing of something that he didn't think would work. And I've experienced this too. So also allow yourself the freedom to just post stuff that you think might not work or seems way out of left field or kind of seems goofy, because some of that stuff, it just hits people right in the right spot at the right time, and they love it. And the last point is Instagram absolutely hates text on posts. They actually read what you're writing in the image. So maybe we should not put text on our posts.
Yes. Luke, you were talking to me earlier. A lot of different things. There's a bunch of different ways you could go here. But one of the things you said earlier that really resonated was the turkey dinner strategy. Can you tell us about the turkey dinner?
Sure. So I think one of the hardest things about starting to make content is you kind of don't know where to begin, right? You're like, all right, I know I have all these things I need to do. I've got all these videos and blog posts and ads and images, and like how do I organize this? Like, how do I get this started? And there's a strategy that I use and that is used by a lot of other content creators. It's called the turkey dinner strategy. At Thanksgiving, you cook a turkey, and then you have a big 20-pound turkey or whatever. And you have a bunch of meals for like a couple weeks afterwards, right? Like you got, the turkey legs are made into one thing, and then you take the breast and turn it into turkey sandwiches. You make turkey stew, and by the end of it, you're sick of turkey, but you've made a bunch of different things out of a turkey. So if you can kind of tell where I'm going with this is, you start with like one big turkey that you want to bake, and you divvy it up into a bunch of little things. So the way we've done this at Printavo has been really simple, which is like we do a podcast. And then a podcast becomes a blog post, which also becomes a bunch of social media posts, which also becomes, maybe an Instagram story or an Instagram reel or a clip on YouTube. So we start with like this hour-long conversation, and we can just divvy it up into little pieces, little pieces, little pieces. That's one way to do it. You can do it podcast style. You could also do it with like a written article. You could do an article about like how to order from our shop, and you could basically just go through and create a big behemoth of like customer education document. But that could become a bunch of little social media posts, or maybe a short YouTube, or maybe like a TikTok about like how not to order from us, kind of a joke made out of it. So it's a way to gather a lot of ideas into one kind of turkey, and then divvy that up as you go forward. I can discuss that strategy like personally in detail a little more, but I think that's like a good way to approach this, is try to make something big that you can divvy up as you go forward, rather than make a bunch of little things and try to make them into something coherent.
Luke had a bunch of good points there. You know what, Matt? You're on mute, so 1 second. Luke had a bunch of really good points there. I also just want to highlight one thing he said, which is using stuff that's already coming up in your shop too. So when he said make a video about how not to order on the platform, that's great. Or another thing that I see a lot on shop Instagrams and shop Facebooks, I really like seeing videos of the manufacturing process. I like seeing the press run. I think it looks cool. So, a 20-second video of that looks sweet. You're already running a job. Just point your phone at it. But yeah, Matt, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a question with like the turkey, and I love that analogy. It makes a lot of sense to me. Plus, I always like food analogies. This is who I am. But how is there a sprint time? So like really, like when you make a turkey, like you only got so long before the turkey's no good anymore, right? So in this analogy, is there like a time where like, hey, if you're gonna go this turkey analogy, like this should be like a week sprint. Like you plan that out. How do you do it? Do you like actually have like a sprint, a set amount of time for each turkey that you're kind of breaking down? Or is it kind of like just more of a free-forming, we're just giving turkey out as long as we can?
So I don't want to be too programmatic with my suggestion here, but I think you can probably hold your own interest in something like that for a week or two. But the longevity of that is long. The lifespan of this is longer than the turkey. It's long. If you make something really good, like really high quality, there's no reason it won't last for years. Particularly if it's something where the information is sort of not going to change, or if it's something that just portrays you in a way that you like. But I do think that that's an interesting question, Matt, because what you're really asking is how much time should I spend on this, right? Okay, that's hard. I think what you want to take into account here is the fact that this is something that can reach a lot of people. And it has a more powerful effect than writing one email or making one phone call. That length of time that it exists in is very long, and the amount of people it can reach is very high. So invest time in it, invest energy in it, is what I'm saying. I can't give you an exact number, but I think it's realistic to do a week or 2 week sprint as a trial for making your first big turkey dinner.
So going back to that, which is great. So sticking with this time, right? So now we talked about like how much time should you spend, and that's kind of like a moving target. It really also depends on what you're trying to achieve. And now that we know there's going to be posts, you should probably be on Instagram for at least 30 minutes well in a post in the middle of that time. So we're looking at time as a big factor to this. Another question that was brought up from Gooseworks was asking is, what time do you recommend to post?
Totally.
So I've seen a lot of this. I've seen a lot of like different infographics, and I've personally seen things saying like, hey, emails are best at like 7:15 in the morning, or Instagram posts are best at like 8 p.m. at night. Is there any validity to that, or is that just someone saying, hey, my personal experience is this, but can that be actually attributed to the platform as a whole?
Totally. We are trying to read Instagram's smoke and mirrors algorithm here. Any answer I'm going to give you is going to be based off of my own personal experience. But like Justin Weems points out in chat there, you have metrics in Instagram where you can look at and actually see when people are on the platform, like the bulk of your followers. For us, it was around 3 p.m. But I haven't found a lot of success posting at 3 p.m. personally. And I think the reason for that is some sort of decay function. It's riskier to post when all of your followers are online because everyone else is competing for the same real estate at the same time. And So maybe a lot of people are on at 3 a.m., but they're maybe not the most engaged. They're kind of just scrolling through, like they're that kind of like post-lunch bored. Like this is just my take on it, right? They're just kind of bored and scrolling. So if you're posting at 3, you're hitting them at kind of a low point of the day, and you're also competing with everybody else who's posting at 3. And so if a bunch of people aren't immediately clicking like on it, then like the algorithm's like, well, people aren't interested in that, and it kind of falls off. There's a really harsh like decay function, and it just stops showing it to people. So what I've noticed personally, like the most successful time to post is early in the morning, 6 to 7 a.m., because it seems like what happens is you get a little bit of engagement early, and like it builds slowly over the day, and you have like a longer window of time for people to look at that post. So if I want to post something really important, I post it early in the morning. Things that I consider less important, I may post in the afternoon. I haven't experimented a lot with posting in the evening, but that seems like a market for like shopping. So
I think Luke makes a lot of good points here. I think his morning point to me makes a lot of sense, because if you post it early in the morning, there's humans awake for the rest of the day, and the humans are the ones who want to see it, right? So that to me makes a ton of sense, and that could be an easy rule of thumb to follow. Just post it in the morning. I think another thing Luke said that I wanted to highlight is it really depends on who your audience is.
Yeah.
So if you print those cool heavy metal shirts that got like Hellraiser on them and a bunch of puff ink, I bet the people who wear those shirts, they like watching midnight movies. They might stay up late. So maybe you can get them to buy stuff late at night. On the other hand, if you're targeting businesses, if you want to do B2B printing and you want to target small businesses, well, those guys probably are going to be on Instagram in the day. They probably go to bed early. So I think Luke's point really, really stressed that. Who are you trying to talk to? And when are they going to be looking at Instagram? That could help and kind of be kind of go from there.
Nick, can you hit the next couple slides? Yeah, because I want to talk about outside of Instagram too, because I think this is. I don't want to.
A lot of people have questions about this too, Luke. So yeah, tell us what you're thinking, and then we can go through some of the platforms people are bringing up.
Yeah. So where should you post? Well, hit the next slide for me. It's pretty simple. Who are you trying to reach? So let's hit the next slide. Yeah. So there's some data here. This slide, you'll have it later. I know it's hard to read right now. But the gist of this is that there's certain demographics on certain platforms. This one, and I agree with this, actually says that YouTube has the broadest swath of everyone. Everybody watches YouTube, and everyone's got someone on YouTube that they like. Basically, the joke is like, oh, the boomers love Facebook, and the tweens love TikTok, and the millennials love Instagram, and there's some validity to this. But you're not going to post the same stuff to every channel. That's what I hope that you take away from this, is that you're kind of talking to people in a different way on each channel. I'm not going to hit you up on LinkedIn using the same message I would on Instagram. That's just suicide. So just keep that in mind. But you can use the same stuff. Like the same image can work on every platform, but you just may need a slightly different caption for it. So if you want to hit the next slide for me, I think we should talk a little bit about YouTube, because I just think this is like the coolest platform out there right now for building your business, for talking about products, for search engine optimization, for literally anything. Because people on YouTube are there for a different reason than they are on other platforms. They're on YouTube because they want to learn stuff, they want to find things out, and they want to discover other people and things that are interested in what they're interested in. Like, that's it. They're there for that. And I want to show you some data that backs this up. Just because of the way that we think, we assume that, we only have 4,100 subscribers on YouTube, so it's sort of a secondary platform, right? But people spend more than 100 hours a day watching our YouTube videos. So that's 100 hours of people like engaging with our content. We're not getting 100 hours of engagement on Facebook. We're not getting 100 hours of engagement on Instagram. Like, we're not getting that time spent with us anywhere else. So that's like quality time with our brand's content is being spent on YouTube. That can happen for your business too. It can happen for anyone's business. It's just like, it's a really powerful platform. It's something that you should think about, or at least look into, or at least engage with on some level. And if you want to hit the next slide for me, this is what I think is Facebook and Instagram are walled gardens. They're pay to play. They're algorithmic based. We just spent almost 30 minutes kind of like doing the smoke and mirrors dance about like, how do we know when to post on Instagram? What do we post on Instagram? What do we do with it? And there's an anecdote to this, which is the next slide, Nick, which is email. Our good old friend, email. There's no algorithm on email. Wow. Isn't that amazing? You know who you're sending it to. You know where they're going to get it. You know what it's going to look like. You know everything about email. It's incredible. So my point here is pretty simple, which is just get in the habit of writing a newsletter. We do it at Printavo. It's awesome. We reach thousands of people a week that way. It's kind of like if something isn't working on social media, put it in the newsletter, and it's like marketing on steroids. And no one is stopping the message because they don't like what I put in it. No one is using some algorithm to make it like force a decay function over time. I don't have to know calculus to understand how it's going to be distributed. I literally just send it to who I want, and it's good. So email. I've got
a question on emails. So this is one where I personally have the hardest time because it's the least likely for me to want to engage with it, right? Like if I'm going to go to Instagram, it's a little easier for me to be like, oh, I should make a post because I'm already there, right? I'm never actually in my MailChimp just hanging out, right? So for me, I have a harder time like knowing to get it, like forcing myself to get in there. So I've got a few questions on MailChimp. And like I said, folks, I'm trying to learn right now too. So if you have questions, please pop in too. But with MailChimp, is there benefit to linking your socials, right? Also, when dealing with that, like, should you be linking your YouTube videos, or is less more when it comes to going with a MailChimp or whatever constant contact newsletter? Like, how busy should I get it? What should I link to? And again, is there a best time for that? I read somewhere that early morning's best for email. I don't know if there's any validity to that, though. So
totally.
How do you go about using this low-hanging fruit, but having success actually grabbing that low-hanging fruit?
Sure. So I think the number one thing is like put it on a schedule. I have my due date is sort of the same every week, or I try to keep it pretty much the same. It's due Wednesday afternoon, and then I just sit down 20 minutes and bang it out. Throughout the week, I'll keep a list of things that have caught my eye. It doesn't have to be all Printavo stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever seen me in the newsletter. Sometimes I'll send out an article to just some other thing that I thought was cool that you should know about. Just something that caught my mind that was interesting. So I think like if you're wondering about what you should put in it, you should put whatever you want in it. I don't think there's too much with email because people are used to getting a lot of things in their email, and if you do this right, you'll engage them and they'll pick something among the menu of things that you've given them. And the way I approach the newsletter particularly is like, if you click on any of these links, I'll be happy with that. That's if you open it, I'm happy because that's cool. You read the message. But if you click something, that's fantastic. So if you want to run really narrow email campaigns, like we want to drive someone to one online store, we want to sell one shirt, that's one way to do it. But with a newsletter, your goal is just to stay in contact. I hope that answers your question, Matt. You love throwing me 4 or 5 different questions, and by the time I start answering it, I'm like, oh, I'm off on a different tangent now.
I thought that was a great answer.
No, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, put it on a schedule. You got to do it every week. I tend to agree that people check their emails in the morning, and like we said earlier, the earlier you send it, the more hours in the day they have to check it. So we've talked about YouTube, we've talked about Facebook and Instagram, we've talked about email. We got 3 in the chat that I want to go through real quick. We're not going to give you a master class on them. But Luke, we got a lot of people over the age of 20 here. Tell us about TikTok. Do we have to get on TikTok?
Oh, please say no. I hate TikTok so much. Please say no.
Yeah, I think you should get on TikTok. Totally.
Damn it, I knew it.
Okay.
Why is it
not?
Beneficial?
It totally could be. Do I want you to go spend next week making TikTok videos and waste 40 hours? No. But should you sit down maybe on an evening and spend half an hour putzing around with the app and seeing like, maybe do I have an idea for this? Keep it in the back of your mind. Yeah, could be. I mean, TikTok can reach some teenagers. It could kind of shoehorn into something interesting. but I wouldn't do it just for the hell of doing it, just because you want to. So if you want to approach it with a little bit of a plan, yeah.
Deeper question. So we know that Facebook and Instagram, that are obviously owned by Facebook, is pretty much set to be a safe platform. It's not going to go anywhere. With a lot of things in the news that I'm hearing about TikTok, I don't know how long it's going to even be around, if it's going to stay around. Is there any concern in that, or does that not matter? The engagement is what matters, and the engagement happens when they see it. It doesn't matter if that ends up being a dead platform down the road. Is that something I should even worry about?
Yeah, this is a risk with all of these platforms, is they're always changing. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Don't put yourself through that. If you don't want to do TikTok and that seems torturous to you, which it does to you particularly, don't do it. There's probably other ways you could spend your energy and time and get a better return.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot on these webinars. If you hate something, hire someone who likes it.
Yeah.
And they can do it for you. Maybe find someone who's younger. If TikTok is making your skin crawl, don't do it. That's not gonna help.
Are you telling me I'm too old? Is that what that was? Like, you don't like TikTok, Mark, because you're too old.
I'm sorry.
But that brings up a good point too. So you brought up like the time. So we talked about ROI, and you can't really necessarily say there's like a 1-to-1 ROI on something. But now we're also talking about a lot of time that goes into this. Time keeps being a recurring theme in this conversation. So is it better to actually look at that ROI in time of a hire, right? Is it best to hire somebody? How about those marketing firms that I also see all over my Instagram saying, like, we'll do it for you? Are any of those even worth it? Or are those other just scams to take money and maybe give me a little bit more of viewership?
I can't speak to those personally. I think there are probably good and bad content marketers out there who can help you with what you want to achieve. The fact that you're being marketed, that tells me that you've looked into it and are interested in that kind of growth in your shop. So, I mean, the truth is that I've seen shops that have hired content people and they are doing better than shops who haven't. I mean, I think the number one example I think of off the top of my head is Printed Threads, who definitely took a risk, focusing on that, but that is, I think, paid off dividends many times over throughout the years for them. They're sort of they're trusted because of it. So maybe it's not the right, if you're a contract printer in West Texas, like Integrities, maybe you don't need a content arm to do things. But if you're in a really competitive market and, you are competing for maybe like a bunch of dispensaries and breweries or something, content could really be the thing that could set your business apart. It could just make you part of a community that people want to be part of. So print shops are community hubs. If you want to think of it that way, you're going to get a lot more out of your business because people come to you for a service and a product, but they also come to you to, spread the word about what they're doing, and you connect back to all of those people through that. So that's how I think about it.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I think that what Nikki said in the chat, finding an employee who likes it, they work at the company, they understand it, they understand the brand, and they just happen to enjoy Instagram. Well, like she's saying in her comment, it gave them the opportunity to give that person a project that they could feel pride over, and it gave the shop a great Instagram. So maybe see, people like doing social media. Maybe see if people in the shop are interested before you go and look for a firm and vet firms and all that stuff. There's two more.
Or even hiring a full-time person, have somebody that's already within that is engaged like that, and kind of give them an opportunity to help you out. So if you're, it's easy to say like a Printed Threads, like those folks are amazing, love them over there. But it might be easier for them to actually allocate a full-time employee to do this, right? Where a smaller shop like the one I have, like it's only a few of us, it's hard to allocate that time. But bring somebody in, or like saying, hey, okay, I already like being on Instagram, so just make the valid effort to like go in and do a few more things. Or if you're a medium-sized shop, bring somebody that's already in the ranks. They already know what's cool. They're sitting there pulling shirts off. They know what's cool. They're looking at the cool angles all day anyways. So I like that. That's actually a good way to like kind of start getting the steps into really focusing on a social media strategy.
I particularly love bringing somebody who's in-house and invested in your business into the content like game too, because they're already there, and like hiring someone and spending a lot of money on it and then maybe it not being as successful as you hope will piss you off and make you not want to do more content. And that's not good. You want to keep doing this. It's built slowly, but it's, you know, it's an exponential kind of curve thing. It's like it hits a certain point and then it really takes off. So like if you have someone who's in the process of your business already and they're interested in photography, they're interested in social media, they're a good writer, you know, whatever, like, you know, just poke them. See if, you know, hey, you want to play with your camera? I'll pay you, you know, like you want to take some pictures or learn a little bit more about social media or scheduling social media posts. They're already in the business. They're already in the thick of things. That, you know, that's much easier than clicking an ad on Instagram and praying that it works, you know, praying that some outsider comes into your business and knows how to speak your language or run the way your brand does. So look for that person. You have an artist in your midst, or a person who's interested in writing, or a person who's interested in photography. They're out there. Talk to them. See if that's something that they would want to play with.
That's an awesome idea. I think that's the way to go over the firm, in my opinion.
Yeah, to start. Yeah, absolutely.
There's two quick platforms people want questions on, and then we're going to hear Luke's low-hanging fruit and strategies for getting this better day to day. So I just want to do these last two real quick. LinkedIn. What about LinkedIn? Should people be on LinkedIn?
All right, so this is interesting. I was just reading a couple days ago about LinkedIn and how it's kind of become like a chum box. A chum box is all those ads at like the bottom of a web page that are just like real bad clickbait, like 50 weird skin cures, and it's like some creepy picture or something, you know. There's a lot of crap on LinkedIn now. It's kind of become spammy because they've got this really bad newsfeed algorithm now that like just kind of it encourages just like crappy spam. But man, LinkedIn is powerful for international connections. There is nothing like it in the world for making international business connections. So if you want to work internationally, wow, LinkedIn is incredible. That's really where its power lies. And again, DMs and direct messaging on LinkedIn are incredible. That's how I got my job at Printavo. So I'm a proponent of LinkedIn. I'm not sure it's somewhere, you know, you're going to get customers or spend a lot of time, but if you're hiring or exploring some other vendors or other things, yeah, I think LinkedIn can be really powerful. But as a content outlet, I don't know, kind of iffy.
I have one thought on LinkedIn. So speaking as a sales professional, I find that you can DM people on LinkedIn and they're very willing to respond.
100%. Yeah.
If you have your salespeople sitting on LinkedIn and your customer profile, the people who you're trying to print for are businesses, that could be a good way to get some lead generation.
Totally.
On the other hand, the only thing I've ever done when I saw content on LinkedIn is go, why did that person post that? And then scroll right past it. So I tend to agree with Luke 100% that use it to hire, use it to DM, maybe not the one to focus on to put your cool content. Maybe you just repost it from other apps, but not the one to focus on to get specific LinkedIn content. Last one, Luke. How about Twitter? What do you think about Twitter?
I think Twitter is a cool platform. It's like crack for writers. I enjoy it, but I don't really see this as being a business-oriented platform in 2021. I think it's a little too toxic. I think it's a little too controversial. I think it's a little too insular, but I think it could be a cool way to drop links to different videos and content you could do. That's how I'm viewing it. I'm not real hopeful. I'm not real positive on Twitter right now. So, yeah.
No, I think that's very helpful. And actually, you know what, Luke? Right when you said that, I remembered something. Someone above mentioned a content management system. We use a content management system. That's an app that can post to all of these apps at the same time. Can you tell us about the content management system Printavo uses and the uses you get out of it?
Totally. So we actually, there's a lot of these out there, and there's some really powerful ones. We use Buffer. If you want to go to this 20-second slide, Nick, I think there's a screenshot of it on here. So Buffer basically lets me post to LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter simultaneously. You can add more platforms to it. It does other things. But this is a really powerful automated way to time posts and not to have to spend time on the platforms. So I don't, I'm advising you to spend some time on Instagram if you're going to post, but that's only if that's what you're trying to do, is build that Instagram following. Otherwise, I think Buffer is the ideal kind of tool for posting to several different networks at once. This way I don't have to go to LinkedIn, I don't have to go to Instagram, I don't have to go to Twitter, I don't have to go to Facebook. I just post it here and it's good to go. So this I think is about $99 a month, and for us it's worth it. There's a cheaper plan too. But like, this is the kind of tool that if you're going to go hard on content, you're going to just need at a certain point. And if you want to develop the infrastructure for doing content, this is an early, easy win. So
I think so too.
Does something like that allow you to like adjust what it is? Maybe you're posting the same content, maybe like a picture, right? But does it have the ability to adjust what is typed out, right? Yep. If it's going out. Okay, awesome.
Yep, it gives you per platform control. They've got a bunch of really nice little features for each one. I see a question about Hootsuite, which is also great. Like I said, I think any of these platforms are really great. It is very similar to Buffer. The goal here is just to take away the work of having to visit each platform and do that, because it's a big time sink and there's not a lot of value to it. And you can also build long-term campaigns with these. So you can schedule out posts for, a one campaign that hits like every Wednesday for a month. You can do that kind of thing. So it's just a way to look forward a little bit and automate some labor and basically kind of put your posting on steroids.
I would
got
say
another question
really quick. I would say if you are looking for a easy next step, I want to get better at content marketing, get a Buffer account, get a Hootsuite account. This is probably the easiest place to start.
100%.
Go ahead, Matt.
So I was watching something from, and you actually tagged their Instagram, Golden Press Studio. I love what those folks are doing. One thing that I picked up is that they were really focusing on growing that Instagram account. And so one thing they brought up was really looking at it from like an artistic perspective too. Like, it's a grid, right? Yeah. So really planning out your images to be an easy to palatable grid, right? So avoid having things that are too similar next to each other. They went with like a color scheme. How important is that? And do you kind of have to throw that away if you're using something like a Buffer, because you can't really necessarily notate like how it's going to look in that, or do we even care about that as much? Are the other parts of the algorithm more important?
So that's a cool question, because there's two competing things here. There's like the aesthetic purity that Golden Press is going for. They want to look really good because they're a branding agency and like a marketing agency. So their Instagram has to look that good. That's a choice they've made as a business to do that. And on the other hand, we kind of have this like business urge, right? Like, so there's like art and the urge for ROI competing a little bit. You don't have to have that appealing of an Instagram page. You just have to meet people where they are with what they want to see, and that's what they've done really well. They've just sort of put it on like super juice. Yeah, it's like their shop, their personality, their people, their imagery, and it's their picture when you see it just by the kind of tone of the image. If you can do that, that's awesome, but you don't have to.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Luke, we got about 10 minutes left. We could go a little over. Cool. We had to, but let's hear your plan to get better. I know it's a lot of people's New Year's resolution. They want their 2021 to have better content. Tell us what to do. What's some low-hanging fruit? How can we get better?
So I think, like we said, YouTube, get that popping. Start thinking about that. Start thinking about just how you can do video, how you could execute that, what you could bring to the table, like what's interesting in your shop, what's interesting in your business, what's interesting in your customers, what's interesting in your employees. But then just like easy, that's just a thought. That's just thinking. Brainstorm. Start brainstorming. Seriously, just get that, get that list going. I've got so many papers around my office with ideas and things. That's important. You need that to feel like you have something to execute. So that's one low-hanging fruit, brainstorm. The second one, I think you should get, if you're doing Instagram, get your highlights on lock. If you want to show that next slide with Juke mode. Yeah, so I think they've done a great job just putting like kind of what they do in their highlights there. This is something I want to fix up on the Printavo account even. But like you could have a highlight for like how to get a quote, you know, like what we do, how much things cost, you know, and what that consists of is making a couple stories and then highlighting them. And I just see that being like a really low hanging fruit for shops if you're using Instagram for marketing. It's just put that info there that people kind of want, because Instagram makes it really hard to link out. Like you can see in this, they have like a link tree. And like, I hate this stuff because Instagram made it so hard to get off their platform that it's really hard to get people to do anything. So if you use the highlights, you can kind of keep them on the platform and maybe give them some info and maybe drive them towards your business. So that's a low hanging fruit.
One click glossary term. Luke, can you tell us what a link tree is?
Yeah, link tree, it's like this link there you see in their description. And a lot of people see like see the link in our profile because you can't link out of an Instagram post. So you have to, in a really clunky, awful, torturous thing, the person is expected to click out of that post, click onto your profile, click that link tree, figure out which link they're supposed to click, and then click that, and then go do whatever you want them to do. Instagram's playing a game with you by doing that. It sucks. So just that's what a link tree is.
Do you recommend them though? If you've got other platforms that you want them to also be aware of, would you recommend a link tree? Which I know there's a free one that actually still has the link to the bottom. I personally have that. Do you recommend it, even though it is a game that sucks? Is it still worth it?
Yeah, you got to do it. If you want to send people off Instagram, yeah, you got to do it.
That's another good one. If you don't have a link tree, they're free.
Yeah.
That might be a thing to set up this weekend.
There you go.
We talked about Buffer. Other people mentioned other platforms. They're all good. But Luke, tell us about the hashtags. That was a question someone asked as well.
Yeah, so if you don't post hashtags as a comment or in your posts, you should. I recommend doing a little bit of research, finding a good mix of like screen printing hashtags, a good mix of local hashtags, and a good mix of small business hashtags. Getting those in there. You want to start with maybe 28, because then you can post, I believe, 30 or 31 now. That gives you some wiggle room where you could maybe make a custom hashtag for a post. But I use the same hashtags every time. But the way we do this is I type, I have a keyboard macro, and I just type P tags, and then my 28 hashtags appear. So if you don't know how to do that, head to your keyboard settings under your Mac, and you can create a macro there with a text shortcut. That's a really cool thing to set up. You can do that with a ton of different things, not just hashtags. But I
use that all over my Printavo account. I love that.
Yep. Super low hanging fruit for hashtags because it's really annoying to find or type.
And that'll work on your iOS device too, won't it?
Yeah, you can have that too.
Because I've always been doing it where I save a note and like go to the note. I haven't thought about it like that, which is insane that I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, and I have a
question about tags. I've seen and heard different things. So in a post, a traditional post, do you write out what you want and then put it in the post, or do you write out what you want and then comment and put those tags in that first comment, or does it even matter?
I think that's a good question. To be honest, I use Buffer to do it automatically a lot of the time. They have a function that they will leave the first comment, but otherwise I try not to put it in the post anymore, just because I think it looks kind of weird. I don't know. I don't think there's a best way to do it. It'll get tagged either way and will appear in people's feeds under those hashtags both ways. Another thing is browse the hashtags when you're on Instagram. Like take some time to do that, because it's actually pretty cool. You'll discover things. That's like a really different way to use Instagram than just scrolling your feeds. So,
and same with your story too. You should be using tags in your stories, shouldn't you?
Yes. That's like putting a story on Super Juice.
I like to just make it like the color of whatever my background is, and then shrink it down really small and like put it in the corner. Or I'll like get like a little sticker and put it like right over it, so it doesn't look like I'm tagging them. But I don't think I've put anything on my story without at least 10 tags in a year or two. I didn't know if I was being like gross and trying to commercialize and market too much, or if that's what you're supposed to be doing. No,
definitely. I think hashtags on Instagram extend your reach. People use it and browse by hashtag. So, yeah, do it.
One quick question, Joe
There's
had.
no cheating.
Can you have too many? Can you put too many in?
I think you want to use as many as you can, because each hashtag there's no diminished velocity from using more. People used to think there was some penalty from using more, but there isn't. They don't actually penalize or not penalize you one way or the other.
Okay, yeah. So use 31.
Yeah, use as many as you can. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, Justin said a really interesting comment that I just want to highlight. He said that if you do post your tags in the comment, then it could get buried if you don't do it immediately. So if you're doing the comment method, do it right away. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if you're doing it that way, just have it copy pasted, and as soon as the post hits, drop that comment.
Boom. Okay. Now let's talk about a little bit of Slytherin stuff, the dark arts.
Sure. So as we all know, clickbaits and the internet are full of crap that gets you to click that may confuse and disorient and dismay you. So confusion is a big thing. And what I mean by confusion is maybe the caption doesn't quite fit the picture. Maybe the picture is like a little bit like, you're like, what is happening here? Or, maybe just the post kind of gets you to stop scrolling for just a second and go, wait, what are they doing? That's a big one. People use that. That's a technique. The other one is like thumbnail voodoo. What I mean here is like creating really juicy, outrageous, kind of obnoxious thumbnails. I think if you've spent any time on YouTube, you see these. Use them. They're powerful. A lot of these YouTube videos that are really big just have a great thumbnail, and the video kind of is okay. So invest in the thumbnail. Like it's like the old adage in the news. If you're going to spend $1 on an article, spend 80 cents of it on the headline. Same thing with the thumbnail. Spend some time on the thumbnail. You can use bad info to get people to be like, that's not right, and they'll comment on your post. It's like even a bad comment is engagement. Now that seems kind of stupid and like, why would you do that? But it kind of works. We don't do that, but I've seen it work. So just something to think about. Tiny stuff. What I mean is just like mini squeegees, small shirts, anything small. People love miniature stuff. It is a huge hit all the time. So just teeny things, if you can figure. Yeah, see, boom, boom. Anything like that, wonderful. Controversy. If your brand or your shop can be controversial, if you want to stake out a claim on some controversial thing, it can be up to you. You can also do like faux controversy. I just think it's fun to play with this idea of using internet outrage to your advantage. So careful with that one, but think about it. Could be fun. The bait and switch, which is of course like promising one thing and doing another. People use this in social media quite a bit. So just be on the lookout for that one and see if you notice it and see how people do it. And the final one I want to talk about is memes. Use memes. For the love of God, use memes this year. We live in a memetic culture. Everything is memes. If you see a meme that comes up on your feed, pause and think for a moment, how could I turn this into something about my shop or my customer or something that happened or something like that. Just think like, how could I repurpose this? Because you almost always can. And this is hilarious, those are our most popular posts by an order of magnitude. They're really goofy. Wow. They don't take a lot of time, and they are just kind of like, they're what people are there to do. Like they're there to enjoy memes and enjoy themselves. So please use memes this year. Get familiar with them. It's something that you can do.
I think these are all awesome, and you could use them. I have a few specifics. Sometimes for the wrong info thing, I see people make spelling mistakes on purpose. So you're not necessarily saying a wrong fact. You just spell something wrong, and then a bunch of people will rush to correct you. Another thing I see for controversy that I think would be good for businesses, because it's not a real controversy, it's a faux controversy, like Luke said, is regional food.
Yes.
So if you go
anything
online,
like that, exactly. Yeah.
Say, I love Chicago pizza and New York pizza stinks. That'll get people to comment. But I think Luke makes a really good point that the controversy one, be careful on that one. I personally buy shirts from a vendor, and I don't really care what they think about the president. I just don't. So think about that. Controversy could be something like, saying one coast is better than the other. That would be the type of controversy you would want to.
We're thinking low temperature, fun controversies, not hot, out there controversy. We want fun stuff.
Exactly right.
Well, hey, quick question from Alexa is can Can Buffer also schedule stories, or is it only for actual posts?
Buffer can schedule stories. It is really powerful.
Nice. Awesome. Check that out.
Go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, we have only a couple minutes left, but we have had a few questions. If we haven't answered your question, there's a question about text marketing we'll get to in a second. But ask away, and then we got Luke for a few more minutes, then we'll wrap up and tell you some cool stuff. But that text marketing question, I personally think text marketing isn't social media marketing, and it might even like necessitate its own webinar. But Luke, what do you think about text marketing? Do you have any thoughts on sending text directly to the customer to market the product?
Well, so the only data I've heard around text involves the open rate. It doesn't involve the click-through rate or the like buy rate. I'm sorry, I don't know the terminology off the top of my head. But like text has a really, really high open rate. It's like above 80%. People always open texts. But I think it's worth exploring, particularly because if it's someone you already have contact with and it's someone you've already texted, that's pretty powerful. But, don't be spammy. Rule number 1, avoid being spammy.
So we got another great question here from Joe. How do IG stories hit user feeds who don't currently follow our page? So a lot of times when I'm even on Instagram with stories or even feed, I'll see I don't follow this person, but it's usually based off of a hashtag. Is that how that works? Like a trending hashtag kind of gets brought into people that don't follow them because it's something you might like?
Yeah, it's hashtags and at mentions. And I think even Instagram staff chooses some stories to get boosted if you follow certain hashtags. So follow if you can in Instagram, start following hashtags. You can do that. You can actually follow a hashtag. So if there's a hashtag for your community or maybe a local school or just like a business that you like a brewery or something, follow the hashtag because then you'll see all the posts that are made about it. Particularly for your hometown or if you're in a smaller town, man, that can be really cool because just stuff will show up, people will show up that you wouldn't have expected. Hashtags are kind of the third rail of Instagram, kind of the untouched, I think, superpower. They're powerful. They really are, and they are how to get seen by people who wouldn't otherwise see you. So
we've got 2 left, and then I'm gonna close the question thing. But it does look like this is a super popular topic, and we could always bring Luke back. So the last 2, can Buffer do multiple pictures in a post?
Yes. It will give you a push notification for Instagram though, so you still have to post it manually.
Sweet. Awesome. That's super easy. And then, Rachel, we talked a little bit about this earlier in the webinar too, but Luke, broadly, how often should people be posting? Daily, hourly, weekly? If we had to pick a target, what's the target we should pick?
Definitely not hourly because you'll run out of stuff to post. That's crazy. I think daily is an admirable goal that may require a lot of heavy lifting. You may be surprised how much time it takes to do 365 posts and stay appropriate and have them look good and seem good and work. I think maybe 3 times a week to start is just a good tangible target that you can hit. Get one of those, get a weekend day because people love to use social and have more time on the weekend. And maybe Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, something like that. You will discover there's no magic formula to this. If I knew the answer, I would do it and I would tell you. But I think you want to find that sweet spot for what's sustainable for your context and what's appropriate for the content you have.
I think that's honestly a very all-purpose answer too. That's a very utility answer that's going to work for a lot of these questions. It's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on your audience. But this was awesome, Luke. Thank you so much for sharing all this amazing information. I think we got our most questions we've ever gotten on this one. So thank you all for watching and thank you all for asking questions. And then let's do a couple plugs here, Luke. Where should people go if they want to see some really fire apparel content? Where should they go?
I think hit our YouTube channel. That's number 1 for us right now. I love our YouTube channel. We've got so much cool stuff. You can always hit the blog if you are interested in reading a little longer form articles or just seeing a little deeper dive into the industry. And our Instagram, we just have fun. Try to kick it, have a good time. If you want to follow us, tag us and things. I'm always trying to like share stuff, especially if we're tagged in it. So, hit us up. Seriously, it's always fun. And yeah, you can always email me too, Luke at Printavo. I'd love to help you, or talk shop, or talk whatever you want to talk about. Try to help you out. So.
Boom. Yeah. Write that email down, luke@printavo.com. We are back with Printavo University in 2021. I'll tell you a quick little preview. I know we're going to be talking about automating things in the shop with a special guest. I know we're going to be talking about hiring and training new people with a special guest. Another thing we want is for you guys to tell us what you want to hear. So if you have a topic, we'll find a guest. Just tell us the topic. That's all you got to do. You can email it to us. You can email it to luke@printavo.com or matt@printavo.com or nick@printavo.com. It's pretty easy to get our emails. So yeah, if you have an idea on this, I really want to see a webinar about XYZ, just let us know. But otherwise, thank you all again so much for watching, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. So thanks again. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.